Cool. We are back. It has been a long time, probably 2 years to be, actually about 2 years to be exact, and it has been quite some time since I've sat in this room and done a little pod. I've done, little videos here and there, and they've been super fun, but a lot of stuff has happened in the past 2 years, and I just haven't gotten around to just making videos. I've always enjoyed making them, but it was never just a priority to me. But every time I get in this room and move stuff around and start turning lights on and making tests, I get real excited. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be back, and it's been a while, and I feel like we should do a little circle back, a little check-in, and just let everybody know what's going on. Just answer some questions that the homies may have online. And for myself, I've been really wanting to do podcasts again, and I thought, what better way to kick off another season of podcast than just to do a little solo episode. I did a little test run yesterday, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous, but more than anything, I'm so excited to just be making videos again. It's super fun for me. Podcasts have always been one of those things that was a mental exercise for myself. I was always able to work out my thoughts and have a conversation with somebody, and having a conversation is actually much of a skill than anything. So and when we were doing a lot of podcasts, I felt the most sharp I've ever felt mentally. And yeah, so I just wanted to get back to that. And to be honest, I have no expectations as far as how often or how I want to do them. I just know right now I want to do podcasts, and I'll go and do them, whenever I can fit them in. So, but I want to make them a little bit more of a priority and sit down with some homies and talk, because, we've been doing a lot of really cool stuff, like making these bandanas, making shirts, meeting really cool people. We've met a lot of really cool people over the last 2 years. A lot of really cool stuff has happened, and yeah, so just want to kind of get right into it. So I had some stuff I wanted to kind of update everybody on from what has happened in the last kind of 2 years. A lot has happened in the last 2 years, and I was kind of watching the video that I had made or posted a couple years ago. And actually, when I made that video, I had just finished working at the CrossFit Games with the Frasers, and little did I know that my world was going to change dramatically and my career was going to take a turn. It was a wave that I was very, very grateful to ride. For about a year and some change, I worked with HWPO, and it was one of the best experiences I have ever had in my career. I just quickly want to say thank you to O'Keefe, Matt, and Sammy, and it was one of the coolest experiences I ever had. To be able to build a brand identity from the ground up, especially visually, was an honor, and it was so much fun to be able to travel the world, meet all these cool people. Like, I'm just grateful for that experience in general. So, that was amazing. And we hit a point with HWPO where I felt I had done everything that I had needed to do, and I was ready to come back to this world of freelance and to be able to do, projects of my own, and, make apparel, make bandanas, and collaborate with different brands. And, I'm so grateful for that experience I had at HWPO. I think it made me a better creative, and, made me stronger as a person. And it was an amazing experience. So thank you to everybody at HWPO. I met some awesome people there, and it was one experience that I'll never forget. So I'm just grateful for that one. I wrote some points because, I got a bird brain and I'll forget. But that was one of the first things. I felt like that was one of the biggest things that's happened in the last year, was the HWPO experience, working for them, traveling the world. I pretty much was on the road for about a year and some change. And, I feel so rich in life experiences. And at 30 years old, I feel very grateful to experience that. And I'm just ecstatic for what is next in my career and for the future. So yeah, that was one of the big ones, was, that experience in general. So that happened. So this next one was kind of gnarly. So we rode the wave of HWPO. We went ham wild. It was so much fun. And shortly after I left my job at HWPO to pursue the freelance again, I, transitioning out. A big career changes are stressful. They're how are you gonna make money? Where are you gonna get clients? You know, all this stuff. The regular things that you don't really prepare yourself for. You know, kind of like you have an idea, but more than anything, it is stressors that are just going to happen. Shortly after leaving the HWPO position, we were here with the family. It was the day before Easter. We were all in the desert, and we had a great time. And you know, out there in the sun all day. And I was driving back home. Might have been 8:30, and little did I know that I was about to get my little world shaken up again. And what happened was I got myself into a car accident. I was literally right outside my neighborhood. It was a routine drive home. You know, you kind of just go autopilot. And I was turning left into my neighborhood. And as I was turning left, I was looking left. And then as soon as I look up, I just see a flash of lights and then bang. Head-on collision. Front airbags went off. Right airbags went off. And the way I explained it to people is like one of the most violent things I've ever experienced in my life. It was crazy, honestly. It was I've talked about it a little bit on Jordan's podcast, but it was crazy, man. Like it felt like a movie with no music, so it was kind of wild. But more than anything, it just felt violent. And I remember it happened. I've been in like I've been in off-road wrecks on my quad and stuff like that, but nothing like this. But I remember saw a flash. You know, I remember seeing the lights happening, so I just kind of like loosened up and the hit happened and I was like, oh shit. So then I stood there and kind of looked at the door. It was a little jam, banged it open. Almost like a scene out of the Fast and the Furious, honestly. And then I get out of my car, go to the other car, and I'm like, hey, you good? Everything good? Well, first I would make sure nothing was broken. I remember looking around just from like riding quads all my life. I just, you know, you got to look at your extremities and make sure nothing's hanging loose. But yeah, I just made sure everything was good. And then I was good, banged the door open, walked to the girl, made sure she was good. She said she was good, missing her phone, you know. And then long story short, you know, she was all right. I think she got a little bit of an anxiety attack and she had to get taken away. And, you know, I was good. You know, I thought I was fine. I thought everything was good. They took my vitals, you know, obviously, you know, adrenaline's pumping, and, you know, one of my dad's best friends, Gus, lives in the neighborhood, and he actually jetted over. Well, he called me as soon as I got out of my car, ironically, and he was saying like, hey, you good? Like, I just heard a car wreck and I felt like it was you. And sure enough, he was right. It was me. And my dad was actually gone in Mexico at the time. So, but yeah, it was kind of crazy. It all happened super fast. You know, I thought I was going to be able to just walk home, and I was going to walk home, but you know, Gus was there and he was able to help me, and they drove me home, kept an eye on me. I called my aunt just to make sure, you know, I just felt like I had to tell somebody in case something happened to me, but I was good. That happened on a Saturday. Next day was Easter, went to the family's house. Everything was good. Felt a little shaken up. Had some, you know, I had painkillers. I was there. I was chilling. You know, I didn't think too much about it. I just was happy that I was alive, and because, you know, I realized what could have happened and what it could have been. So I just kind of let it go at that point. And a couple of days passed, and it's Tuesday at this point, and, you know, I was starting to feel like a little anxious, and I've never been in a car accident, so I don't know what and how to be in the stress of, like, you know, making sure the girl's all right, and, you know, and the police reports and the insurance, and, you know, it was a bit much at the time. And, you know, again, like, just left my HWPO job, like, so it was a little gnarly. And, you know, come Tuesday, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go train. Training is the thing that I've always just done. So let me go do that. So I went to go train. And as I went to go train, you know, I was like trying to be mindful of like, okay, I probably shouldn't do like anything crazy, like heavy or crazy gymnastics. So, I just did a little bit of running and a little bit of a ski machine. Did the workout, felt fine. You know, got a haircut, went to go get, you know, some CBD, probably just for inflammation. And I remember sitting in the barbershop and just kind of feeling like, you know, out of it a little bit, and just started to get a little bit of a headache. And, you know, in the past with like stress and stuff, like I've tended to like give myself a little bit of a headache and, you know, kind of make myself a little sick. But, you know, this kind of felt a little bit different. So then I remember just kind of coming home and, you know, wasn't really able to eat, and shortly after, tried to go to the bathroom, had a little bit of a diarrhea, TMI, and then shortly after, I started to feel a little weird. And in retrospect, I might have been in my head and overthinking it, and there's a lot going on. But shortly after, I ended up throwing up, and then I called my aunt, and she came over, and my cousin called me, who's a nurse as well, and he's like, "Hey, you doing all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, had diarrhea, threw up." And he's like, "Yeah, probably have a concussion." And I was like, "Oh, well, okay." there's that. So, and I remember talking to my doctor, like, after the accident and such. And, I talked to him a lot during this whole process. And, we were very conscious of like, okay, should I go get checked out? If the symptoms keep getting worse, then yes, you should come get checked out. But, a concussion was never a thing in my mind until those things happened a couple of days later. So trusted my doctor and trusted the process. And it was, if I'm gonna be real honest with you, it was terribly, terribly difficult. That is one thing, it's my brain. It's my brain is the thing that I use the most. And I mean, like most of us, all of us, and it's crucial for me for my job. And it's a little bit scary because it's not like a bruise you can see or a cut you can cover. It's your brain. And, I wasn't sure if I was going to be like that forever, or, if I was going to be able to work again the same or train again the same. And I was afraid to train for a very long time, and I didn't travel again for a little bit. And it was even hard for me to work for like about 2 weeks. I couldn't really, I was just like had a major headache, and it was hard for me to get back and to want to work. And, I was getting a lot of panic attacks, and, it was, for lack of a better term, it was a little difficult. It was hard, and it was a slow process to try to get back to where I'm at today. And that was a big reason why I didn't really talk about it, share about it. It also felt kind of like egotistical. It was a little weird. I didn't really want to like explain it or anything like that, to people who are like closest to me. I explained it to, and people who see on the regular, I would explain it to. But more than anything, I just like, you wanted to make sure I was good and to get myself better and to rest and to not take on too much and to slowly get back into it and to slowly build. And for months, I just rode the C2 bike. I just rode a spin bike, and then slowly got into it, lifted weights a little bit, and I felt lightheaded for sure. And a lot of that could be, I was doing a lot of therapy as well with that. And so I was building back. And in the midst of all that, I also lost my grandma. My last grandparent, probably the grandparent I was closest to, my Ita. I grew up going to her house, spent pretty much my entire weekends there. I was raised, she raised us a lot. I don't want to say she raised me, but she's my grandma. I was there a lot. And unfortunately, we lost my Ita, and my Ita is the glue to our entire family. It was my mom for a long time, and everybody who's who's followed me for the last couple of years knows the story of my mom and how much of a glue she was for our family. And unfortunately, in the midst of all this, we also lost my grandma, and went through the same feelings and having to design, all this stuff. It's an honor to be able to design and to be able to make pieces and embody the beauty that was my grandma and my mom. But, we had to do it. And that was just a part of that healing process. And I was already hurt. My head was a little banged up, and it took a really long time to kind of get back to normal until, honestly, this last month, where I have finally felt normal again, and to be able to train CrossFit a little bit normally, to be able to push the workouts a bit more, do some heavier weights. I'm not as strong or as fit as I once was, but I feel the growth. I feel the growth happening, and that is something that I'm very grateful for, to be able to get hurt and to be able to build back up. And although it is terribly difficult, and there's a lot of emotions that kind of came with it that I didn't really expect, PTSD being one of them. And that was one that a friend of mine kind of suggested to me, and the fear of just hurting my head again, and just the fear in general. It honestly just engulfed my mind, and expecting the worst all the time. and then losing my grandma, and then, it just became a whirlwind for me mentally, and it was really tough. And I'm definitely still working on it, but it is something that I am proud to say that I have made tremendous leaps and bounds on, to try to release the fear of a lot of situations, like my career, my health, and it is something that I've had to really work on these last couple months. But lately I've been really trying to harp on positivity, gratitude, and really just being grateful that I'm able to sit here, make videos, have a career, and also just to be able to have my health. So, dude, that is the gist of what has been happening in young EC's life. It's been gnarly. And also, in the midst of all that, I happened to meet the most incredible woman in my life. And I've known her for a bit, but now that I have a girlfriend, it's been like amazing. And to think that like through all that, I can still find something as beautiful as love. It's been wild, to say the least. So, but again, I'm hyped to be here. I'm hyped to be able to do this. I didn't want to tell that story in like a sob story, but I thought it would be, I thought it'd be beneficial. It's, I've always been very open, the career and my life. And, as I grow, I become a little bit more private. I become a lot more to myself. And, but I think something like that is something that I wanted to share, and just with all you, because if it helps one person, I'm cool with that. But, yeah, it has been a gnarly couple of months, but just stoked to be here and stoked to be able to make videos and do my job and do what I know best, and that is sit here and make pretty things. With that being said, that is the update. I put the bat signal out, and I wanted to again get back into making videos, get back into doing podcasts, and I thought, what a better way to do that than to do a little bit of a solo pod. I'm gonna go ahead and hop on the IG and open up these questions and see what you guys asked. Again, thank you to everybody who went ahead and took the time to ask a question. I was talking to Jer, and I would just think like being like, yo, ask me a question just sounds kind of like, I don't know, it just kind of feels weird to me sometimes. It feels a little egotistical at times, but Jer's always got a good way of explaining things to me. So after running it by him and him explaining to me that it's not, that I was like, all right, bet, let's do it. So here we are. We're doing it. Some questions. We have a bunch of good ones, but like I said in my video the other day, my test video is I'm gonna try to keep it short. I think I already burned like 20 minutes talking about myself. So I'm just gonna go ahead and we're gonna rifle through these questions. I'm probably gonna take a break. To piss. Maybe just a little walk, whatever that may be. More than anything, we'll just rifle through these things. Maybe I'll put the title here. Maybe I won't. I'm just hyped to be able to film stuff again. Like, we're shooting this guy on anamorphic, which is really sick. I've always wanted to shoot a podcast in anamorphic. It's probably not acceptable because it's not as vertical as you fucks want it to be. And then this is, I just wanted to do something that I thought looked sick. So I'm doing it. Get into this. Where's all my stuff at? 20 minutes. I'll answer a couple because we still got time limits on these things, and then we'll go in it. So, Arturo and G, how is that you ended up doing what you are doing? Honestly, I kind of just fell into this whole thing, to be honest. I think most people know that I studied graphic design. Like I was educated in graphic design. That's what I went to school for. I have a bachelor's degree in it. I have a minor in illustration. It's the thing that, I borrowed a lot of money from the government to get an education on. And photo and video was kind of a thing that I always just did as a hobby. So, I still, in a lot of ways, consider myself a designer more than like a photographer or videographer. So, which is just kind of funny, but yeah, I feel like I kind of just ended up here, and I followed things that excited me, and projects that excited me. And it was difficult for a while because I had numerous jobs in the beginning of my career where were jobs that I felt like I needed to do, and they were very beneficial. And I learned a lot, like working at a digital marketing agency, working at an advertising agency, and doing the work there. It taught me a lot of really good skills, and I'm very grateful for those jobs. And I'm glad I did them, because at the time I felt like I needed to do them, and I did. And I think without those experiences, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. And I think your interest and will always change based on your experiences. So I kind of just ended up here by doing always what piqued my interest. And although it's not, freelance isn't the safest route, nor is it the most consistent, but it is the path that makes me the most happy and the most happy. So it's kind of how I ended up here, was following my intuition and listening to my gut. Next one is from Slob on the Pod. What is the end goal to all of this? I didn't take, you know what? Jordan is like one of the smartest guys I know, honestly. He's a goof. I think people take him at face value because of his podcast and the name of it. But I think Jordan's like one of the most introspective people that I know. And he asked, what is the end goal to all of this? Which he probably just could have got that off of Google. But to be honest, the end goal of all this, and I've given this a lot of consideration, and it is the way I kind of structure the way I go about my work and my job and frankly my life, is it sustainable for the most part? And what I mean by that is, the way that I build my daily habits, is it going to be sustainable for the rest of my life and my career, and the way that I work and the way that I eat and the way that I sleep? And I think the end goal for myself is to be able to sustain this lifestyle for as long as I can. And I know it will evolve, and I know it will change a lot. But I think like the things that I do now, like trying to be able to train every single day, not blasting myself every day, once in a while, absolutely. Like, you will go hard, and at times with work, you do have to press the gas. But I think for the most part, the structure and the end goal is to be able to do this and to be creative and to have a job and a life in art is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And whether that be doing photo, video, design, art, whatever that may be, I think this lifestyle is one that I want to maintain till the end. So I think that's, the end goal for myself. Next one is from longtime friend Mitchie Midge. She asks, how has your creative interest changed over the years? What did you focus on first versus now? I think in the beginning of my career, I just did what I thought I had to do, which was like I worked at a digital marketing agency, trying to make money. And I think in the beginning I kind of ignored what I felt I wanted to do, but then you also don't really know. I knew I loved skateboarding. I knew I loved making art. And I think in the beginning you don't know exactly how to implement those things into your jobs because you're not quite established yet. You don't know how to implement it then. You're trying to find a style. You're trying to find, your identity. And I think as I grow as a person, my interests always also change. I think in the beginning I was very, very skateboard heavy, and everything was around skating and also community. And I think that has always been the through line, although is, that is the whole essence of Yuma Seen, and that is the whole thing, is that, community and art, and that has always been kind of the constant. But over the years, I can see my interests, change a little bit, whether that was through skating, a little bit more art focused. Now it's a little bit more CrossFit, a little bit more fitness. And again, it is a lot of the intuition and following things that pique my interest and exploring those things. And I think that is the coolest part about our jobs, is that it allows us to explore all these different avenues. And I never thought in a million years I'd be working with like professional athletes and the best in our sport, for that matter. So I think like my creative interests have just changed as I grow as a person. So but I think the things that I focus on then and now are still very much the same. And that is like listening to my, intuition and following that and exploring it and being able to, get as much out of it and learn as much as I can. And when I feel like, I've done everything I could and, move on to the next thing and explore and be grateful for the experiences that you share with people throughout the way. And I think that's what allowed me to make so many, awesome and talented friends is that exact, way of just trying all these different things and exploring these different avenues. So, okay. So the next one is from Alexandro Diaz Mora. What you felt was your big break, quote, unquote. Also, in retrospect, as I was using the restroom, I realized I probably talked way too fast in the beginning because I'm just excited. I'm hyped to be here. I think I just went off a little bit. So, so I apologize if I rambled in the beginning. I just was super hyped. But Alexandro Diaz Mora, what you felt was your big break. Honestly, like I feel like the ceiling for that just keeps changing, but recently, I think honestly the thing that really broke me through, in a lot of ways I feel like it still hasn't happened. I know how much work we've done over the years, and honestly, I feel like my big break is yet to come. The HWPO experience was one that brought me, a lot of opportunity and a big, just a lot of opportunity and a lot of life experience, and that was amazing. But I still feel that like I'm yet to have, a big break or a breakthrough. I've had a lot of like big aha moments and awesome experiences, but for some reason, man, I just feel like in my gut that the best is yet to come. And, I could be naive and I could be, I don't know, but one thing that I feel deep in my heart and deep in my gut is that the best has just yet to come, and that big break per se. I think my big break maybe so far, like one of the biggest accomplishments was to be able to make a living as a creative, and I think the biggest break is just, for us and as a creative I think it's just yet to come. I think the best is just yet to come. So Jair Delgadillo asks, how do you deal with difficult clients? First off, I'm just grateful to have Jair to share the studio with, because in school, one of the most beneficial things was to have other creatives to bounce ideas off and to share, advice with creatively and in our careers. And, although I still have my friends from college and stuff, I'm very grateful to have Jair around. And we talk about things like this all the time, but he asked, how do you deal with difficult clients? And I think dealing with difficult clients, I think communication, and I think even just with people, not even just with clients, but how to deal with difficult clients, difficult people is honestly, not even if they're just difficult, but just coming to a point of understanding. And that happens through communication and talking to your client and removing any sort of ambiguity as far as like deliverables and timelines. And I think, and expectations is a big one, because I think like as creatives, we can at times be a little willy-nilly on, deliverables, because a lot of us are just grateful to be able to do the job. And some of the most admirable people in the space like that I know are very hard-nosed on those things, and they have hard rules. And at times it could seem and feel like a little, it could feel like too much in a sense, or too professional or whatever, however you want to describe it. But I think, when clients get difficult is when I think us creatives fail to understand the exact needs of the client. And yes, at times, like, people can just be difficult. People have life things going on. But I think the communication and understanding the expectations and being on the same page with those things can eliminate and mitigate a lot of those things. So I hope that answers that a little bit, and I hope that helps in a sense. But, I don't know if Jared meant in a certain space, but that was a good one. Jared had another one. He asked, where in the creating process do you find the most stressful? I think it varies because, and I'm sitting here thinking about it, because in design, the beginning could be the hardest part, just trying to gather inspiration and trying to gather some of those things. And I think more than anything, I think that what brings probably the most stress at times, if any, is just getting started. I think a lot of us creatively can put a limitation on ourselves by just not getting the ball rolling. And I think by getting one foot in front of the other and getting started is so beneficial for us, and not being so glued to what the end might look or feel like or what it could be. I think you give your best effort at every point in the process, and you just have to accept, how it'll turn out. But I think when I sit back and simmer on it a bit, I would say, like, in the creating process, the most stressful might be just getting started or finishing it. But I would say more than anything, probably getting it started is the most stressful, because I think you consider too many variables and you want to do everything correctly or right. But honestly, just getting started and one foot in front of the other is the most beneficial. Tips on nailing a client's brand identity: learning who they are, doing your research, putting yourself in their shoes, watching old footage, asking questions about them. I think that more than anything, becoming a detective in a sense. And I think that's the favorite part about design as well. And, is becoming a detective and understanding who they are and what makes them what. And I think, like, for us, we've been able to do brand identities for, for a couple of really high level athletes. And I think, like, when they all have, tremendous amount of footage on them, and just watching things about them, spending time with them, asking them questions, and just learning about, their mindset and what makes them what and why they think the way they think, helps a lot with the brand identity, because you can metaphorically make those decisions creatively. And, that will vary per designer. But I think, really understanding who you're working with will help your brand identities tremendously. And who the audiences are is always a big one. Absolutely. Like, knowing who you're speaking to can help the way you speak. But at the end of the day, that comes to more marketing. But I think for a brand identity itself, understanding whether if it's yourself or whoever you're making an identity for, and learning the ins and outs of them, and learning how they think and really why. So I hope that helps. The boy Dapper After Dark asked, how do you get started in your creative process? What keeps you grounded? Good question. Damn it, I'm chewing the ice again. Bad habit, dude. My teeth are probably wrecked. I need Dr. Linda Para. To get started in my creative process, I like to do a lot of research. Number one, first and foremost, I like to get familiar with whatever I'm shooting, whatever I'm designing. I like to get into that mindset. I like to look through the lens and through the eyes of whatever I'm creating, understand if it's design, learning, the processes in which things were made, what tools were used to make those things, what is the application, where does it live, things of that nature. If it's photo and design, if it's photo and video, understanding, like, what is going to bring, and this is with design as well, what is going to bring the best, and complement whatever you're shooting the most, whether if that be via focal lengths, filters, locations, things of that nature. But just getting familiar with what you're shooting and the style that you want, and just doing research and creating mood boards. Mood boards are huge for myself and the creative process, and just to get a look and a feel and a tone down. Even if it feels repetitive, if you have a style, like, for myself, I've been doing this for about 10 years almost, and it's so beneficial to prepare and to never assume what you're going to go in and do. You never want to, and I just don't think it's beneficial to, always rely on the run and gun. If you can do it, that's amazing, but it's so beneficial, and it's so much more enjoyable to be able to, do the research, understand what you want to get, and it helps push your work a little bit further. So I think for me, to get started in the creative process, I love doing research. I really enjoy doing mood boards and communicating that with clients, just to get just to get on the same page as well and limit that ambiguity and to make sure everybody's on the same page. And just that way everybody knows what everybody's, what the goal is visually and what we're going for. So, and what keeps me grounded in all that is honestly my own inspirations keep me grounded. I think understanding what I like and how I can incorporate that a little bit into my work is always big as well. And some of my favorite inspirations like John Contino and a lot of these books back here, but Saul Leiter themselves, they had their way and their style of doing things. And I think that, that keeps me, that sort of stuff keeps me grounded and always making sure I do things, doing the things that I need to do creatively and following the rules. And that is like a lot of what I mentioned as far as like making sure I'm doing my due diligence and doing research but also, staying true to my roots and my inspiration. And because I think for me personally, it's very important to kind of always sprinkle a little bit of myself into everything. And because it makes it more enjoyable for myself also. So thank you, dude. That was a good question. So this next one, is your girlfriend funny, yes or no? My girlfriend is a lot of things, a lot of great things, but funny is just not one of them. I'm just kidding. My girlfriend's hilarious. Gorda_Nizzle13. What made you decide to do photography? Honestly, skateboarding was a big one. I think I was explaining prior that like my parents documented my whole childhood, and I always loved that. And I think as I go on, that has been like a big inspiration for me to be able to do that with my own life and my own family. But what really pushed me to do it was skating. And I started photography on my iPhone 4S, and I just went at it, and it just never stopped from there. The idea of shooting fish eyes and just being creative, this is just another outlet for me. It just stuck. So I would say that skating was a big one for me. So next one is from Ariana or 23. She said, dude, no question. Just want to say that you're awesome in what you do, bud. Congrats. Well, that might be the nicest thing Ariana's ever said to me, because usually when I see her at the gym, she just calls me bitch. So thank you, Ariana. This next one is from Ash V. Mac. She asks, how did you know photography was the path you were meant to be on? What inspired you? I honestly didn't think that photography was something that I was meant to do. Again, I still feel like a designer, but I think even then, labeling myself to one creative outlet is just, I just don't like to do that. I think just being a creative is something. It was the path I'm meant to be on, doing what I'm doing now, being a designer and just being creative, And I think when I knew was, when I just tried to do other things, like I remember I worked at Cafecito for a little bit, and although that was fun, I always just feel this pull to do this. And this is where I feel the most myself. This is where I feel the most happy, the most creative, the most, enlightened, and this is just what I was meant to do. And I think when I knew I was supposed to be doing this was when I try to do other things and it just doesn't feel right. I remember when I first did freelance and I quit my job, I was grateful. I was fortunate enough that my friend Marty gave me a job at a juice shop in Nectar. And, even when I was there, I was grateful for the job, but I hated being there because all I wanted to do was to take pictures. And, I knew, and to take pictures and design and be creative. And, I always find a way to let it out in some way, but that was all I wanted to do. And I think by doing other things, I knew that this is what I was meant to do and what I wanted to be. And what inspired me was, man, I'm sure if I sit here and think about it, things will always pop up. But as I sit here, my initial thoughts about, what inspired me might just be that. Like, it was that feeling and that gut feeling of this is what I'm meant to do, and the longing for wanting to do this while I was not able to was the thing that pushed me through. Was my own intuition and my own gut feeling to pursue this, and I never looked back. And I think it was one of those decisions that I made that was one that was purely for myself, and one that I'm very proud of, because it was a path that I was able to forge for myself. Ash V. Mac asked another question. He said, advice on change and how to handle it. Well, I think I'm still dealing with that one a little bit myself. I think at my best, I would say some advice on change and how to handle it would be, it's to be able to roll with it and to understand that, you know, that is the only constant that will happen in our lives is change. The less resistant we are to change and the more that we can accept it and flow with it and adapt, the better we are going to be off. Although change is difficult, and I wouldn't say evade those emotions, I would say express them, whether if that be in therapy, writing, whatever that may be. But as soon as we can understand that change is the only thing that will be a constant in our lives, and the quicker and the sooner we get better at learning how to accept those things, the better off we'll be. Mia asked, do you remember your old pals from AIPX? Absolutely. I talk about you guys all the time. I love that experience I had at the Art Institute of Phoenix. It is one that I felt was super unique because the school doesn't even exist anymore. So absolutely, like I absolutely remember my old pals from AIPX. I remember Mia, Jenna, my advisors, Kyle, Hannah, McKenna, Salem, Nicole, Miles, Mr. Dunlap, Mr. Dahlquist, Mr. Garnes, like absolutely. Like, and I feel, and I'm sorry if I left anybody out, but like we used to have this crew. We used to call each other the Goat Mob, and it was like literally the after school kids. It was after school club. It was all of us who would stay after, and a lot of us worked on campus too. Like I worked on campus and I made design. I was a peer mentor and I was a designer on campus, and I literally lived like a block away from school. So I literally lived there, and it was with all those people, and it made college really nice because it was a small campus, and I didn't have a car. And you know, it made me who I was today. So no, I'll never forget you guys. I appreciate you guys a ton. Chris Rosicchia, my guy, dude. McKenna, how can I forget McKenna? Like these will pop up later. I'll be thinking about them all day. But I love you guys, man, and you guys made me who I am today. C. Montes, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? In the next 5 years, I hope to be doing what I'm doing. I hope to still have the studio. I hope it's bigger in a sense where it's just more space. It's tiny right now. I hope to be able to still be able to do creative work. Traveling is amazing. Hopefully I can still take my family with me, but you know, to keep doing what we're doing and to be able to do a little bit more of it, and to be, you know, a little bit more financially set and happy, honestly. Like I'm so grateful for the life that I have, and you know, I just want to maintain it and to be able to let it grow, and the things that I do now are things to nurture my lifestyle now, and hopefully that is the right way. I feel it is the right way to go, to be able to let it breathe and grow in the most organic way possible. So that is my hope for the next 5 years, is to still be able to do what I'm doing. The homie, My Average Life, shout out. What's up, dude? Bring back some of the G Code bros on the pod. Talk about the old days. I would love that, man. I would love that so much, to be able to bring back, you know, my skate homies from MG. They're also like a point in my life that, you know, without them, I don't think I'd be able to do. I don't think I'd be where I'm at right now without my MG brothers. And I would love. I think it'd be. It's like wrangling cats with those guys. It would be impossible, but I think it's possible. I think it'd be so much fun. It would probably be like a 10-hour podcast, but I think it'd be so much fun just to go back and reminisce. I think. It's not impossible. I think we can do it, and I'm super down. So if any of the MG boys are listening, let's run a pod, reach out, let's figure it out. I know you guys all have kids. We all got girlfriends. We all have jobs, but if we can dedicate a Saturday or a Sunday, even if it's the Lord's Day, you know, let's do it. Let's just jump on a pod. Let's bullshit. I'll figure it out. I'll figure out how to produce it, but that would be sick. We can even do it at the skate park. Next one is from, how am I doing on time? We're chilling. J Adams _XO. What are some of the biggest aha, quote unquote, you have had with photography and videography? I don't know if you mean technical or like in a career, but when I figured out drag shutter, my life exploded. That was sick. That was awesome. some biggest ahas you had with photo and videography. Yeah, flash photography and drag shutter were like some of the things that like completely blew my mind. Anamorphic was another one of those things where it like completely shifted my brain and to know what was possible. But if we're speaking technical, absolutely those things. Drag shutter, flash photography, that can fit in one, and anamorphic was one that like my brain exploded. Thank you for your question. Liz Malika asks, what do you see yourself doing in 5 years media-wise? This 5-year stuff, you guys are wild. What do I see myself 5 years doing media-wise? I would love to get to the point where I don't have to shoot these podcasts myself. I can just sit down and riff. That'd be amazing. Jared and I've talked about that. I feel like that can happen. But more than anything, I would love to be making large scale, not even large scale, but just like these documentary pieces, which I feel like is happening already. I always said I wanted to make a movie. There's a note up there that says, I will make films. Nothing will hold me back. Break through all limitations. I absolutely will. I feel like it is one of those things that I will do. And in everything that I do, I try to put a little bit of this cinematic touch on it. But I feel one day, you know, even now already, the way, you know, shooting these short pieces for whether that's be athletes or for brands, you know, already trying to start doing some of that stuff. But I feel like one day, you know, I would love to be able to make, you know, I would love to be able to make a short film or a short doc, you know, strictly by us, from us, like from Yuma, Arizona. I think that'd be awesome. But, you know, again, a lot of the same stuff. I would love to be able to do in this and to keep working with brands and to keep, you know, and to keep making these pieces for brands and for individuals. I think it'd be fun. It's Twyla. It's our friend Twyla from the gym. She asked, do you see yourself moving away from Yuma? Absolutely not. Definitely not. Big no. Nay. No. Probably not. Definitely not. I lived in Phoenix. I moved away. I did my thing. I like essentially lived in Vermont for like a year. But my family's here. You know, we have a lot of kids in our family, and I do not want to miss them growing up. And I really enjoy having Yuma as a home base and being able to go and come and to be able to come home. So it is one of the most grateful parts about my job is to be able to travel, but you know, and to be able to be home is one of the best parts of the gig. So no, I'll probably never leave here. Snap Stills asks, how did you get started in photography? Well, I'll just add an extra piece to it. I really got started in it when I was younger. My parents gave me a camera. You know, I just messed around like anybody else, never took it seriously. Took a class in high school. It was all right. And then I took this other class called CTV where I got into videos first. And I actually feel like I started in video first. And then it wasn't until I got an iPhone in college. I got an iPhone 4S that I really started to like enjoy it and really do it, you know, as a hobby and more, and to exercise the skill. And then when I graduated college, my graduation gift was a camera, and you know, it just flew from there. So Maria asked, how do we get your mad skills in Colorado? Asking for a friend. Drop a DM, dude. We'll go to Colorado. Colorado would be sick. I've only been there once. Would love to go back. I love the snow. The first time I went, we hiked the Garden of the Gods with my friend Lindsay and Jordan, because Jordan lived there and my friend Lindsay lived there. So we met up and we hiked the Garden of the Gods, and I hiked it in the snow with running shoes and sweatpants like an idiot. But would love it. Just let me know. We can get out there. It'd be awesome. This next one, any chance we could get a pod setup tour? Sure. I mean, I'll just tell you real quick right now. We have an R6 right here on a 35. I'm pointing at it right now, so hopefully it picks up. We have a 35 millimeter on an anamorphic over here, both on tripods. And then we have I don't even know what light this is. Jared just let me borrow it. But we have a light here that is all set up, and it's just a big softbox. And then I have just a lamp back here that my buddy Aurelio made, and then I have these little Amran lights here because it's anamorphic and I wanted this streak. And then right here, dude, I just got a H5 recorder. I keep it light and polite, keep it lean and mean. So that's pretty much it. I could one day do the whole thing, but just high level, this is what it is. So pretty lean and mean. And I think I'm so used to working with little that, well, you know, the less equipment I have, the better. And because I can set it up quick and I can do stuff a lot easier and faster. So next one is from Lily Oliveira. She said, I'm sorry if I totally butcher your guys' IG names. I'm sorry. Says, dude, I have no doubt you're going to kill it. What goes through your mind when capturing a shot? Well, thank you, Lily. I appreciate that. Lily and her husband were at the studio a couple of days ago. Well, a year ago, they started this process of filming a documentary, which I have the pleasure of being in. And they came the other day, and it was really cool. And it was nice to see them and their daughter, who's adorable. But I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. And what goes through your mind when capturing a shot? When I'm shooting, like, I always like to consider what I'm shooting. For the most part, like, once you get familiar with what you're shooting, it kind of becomes in the back of your head and you know what's happening. So, like, you know, the games, like, you understand the stakes, you know who you're shooting, you know what matters, you know what they've worked on. When it's a family, you know, you kind of understand, you know, if a father has a deeper relationship with one of the kids or whatever, you know, whatever it may be, you know, understand what you're shooting, which is where the preparation and the research comes in, and it helps when you go in there. But, you know, composition is number one. Like, when you have those things in the back of your mind and then you go to shoot, you understand, okay, how can I compose this and shoot this in a way that is going to bring the most out of it? And for me, that's why I choose 35 millimeter a lot, because it forces me to move in or back up manually. And because it's typically where your eye sees 35 to 50 millimeters, I do enjoy the process of intimately getting closer if I need to and backing up if I have to. I feel like it highlights those emotions a lot more. So that's a little bit of what goes in my mind when I'm taking a photo. Ezekiel099. Yo, Theo, it's me, Ezekiel Lopez. What's up, Easy? My guy. I love Easy, man. I wish you danced more. I really wish you did. My little cousin Easy was quite the character as a kid. But what's up, ba? Good to see you. Good. Thank you for making a comment. Suzanne RM7. Are you still working for HWPO? No, like I kind of went over in the beginning, I'm not working with HWPO anymore. Again, I'm very thankful for my experience with HWPO. I appreciate everybody at HWPO. They have allowed me to grow tremendously as a creative and as a person, and gave me a lot of life experience. So although I do not work there, I love everybody there, and I appreciate all the opportunity and everything that they did for me there. And it was one of the best experiences I ever had in my life. So don't work there anymore, but love everybody there. The boy, Matt Whittock, I think I said his name right. He asked, when are you coming to the Bay? Dude, we got to go to the Bay. We got to go to the SF game. Got to chill with the boy. We got plans, bro. We got to get out there. We got to go visit you. You know, as soon as we can, man. I would love to go out there and visit you in SF. I think it would be sick. He asked another question. You get 3 design tools to use for the rest of your life. What are they? 3 design tools for the rest of my life. What are they? Pencil, paper, and marker. That's it. Not even an eraser. Pencil, paper, marker. Those are the 3 tools forever. That's all you need. And maybe your brain, but pencil, paper, marker. I would say it's probably a lame answer, but my thing's overheating and I'm freaking out. So it is what it is. Let me just give this thing a second to chill out. Alrighty, dude. We just gave that thing a little rest. And honestly, man, we went through all the questions and it was fun. This has been such a fun experience for me. I really appreciate everybody who took the time to ask a question. You guys have no idea how much fun this is for me. Like, it's cool to be able to sit here and even have like some sort of audience to engage with. Like, from the very beginning when I used to take pictures on my iPhone and just share designs, like, I've always been very grateful and thankful to have people that like it, share it, and even to this day, like, the people that continue to like and share and the new followers that I get, it's just to be able to even have some sort of, you know, community around the things that we create is something that I never imagined, and B, terribly, terribly grateful for. So thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to be able to ask a question, to share photos, to share the work. Like, it all means so much to me. You guys have no idea. So I'm going to go ahead and log off. This is it. Next week, we got a video planned. We got a podcast planned. Really excited to hit another season of this stuff. But this has been fun. I appreciate you guys again. I said it like 1,000 times for sure. Shut up. But I'm going to leave it at that. This has been cool. Excited to get back into this. So yeah, I'll go ahead and sign off here, and I'll see you guys later.